What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope you guys are doing all right. Got a few people in the chat already. Varix, what's going on, buddy? Hope you're on your best behavior today and none of the moderators have to mute you. Andrew, what's going on? Claire the Third's in the house. Santa Cruz's in the house. Travis H. Graham Young. Happy Valentine's Day to you all. Catherine, how are you? Happy Valentine's Day. So I have a review to do, or two anyway. This is the Temptation to the Dark Side. I thought that was fitting for a Valentine's Day dram. I have very little left, so obviously this one's tempted me quite often. It's really, really good. In the description I put, does age matter when it comes to single malt whiskey? We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to nose this one, give it a mark. I'm going to also nose and give a mark to the abundance of fruitcake. All right. This is 30.100, and it's a Glengarry. The Temptation to the Dark Side is a Tullibardine. I've only had two Tullibardines, and both of them were really good, but this one is absolutely exceptional, and I'm going to tell you guys why in a little bit. But first, I want to have a look at the chat over here. See a lot of blue in the chat. All my buddies are in. So we got Richie Z, we got Peter White, and I think I saw Santa Cruz in earlier. We got Mark. What's going on, buddy? Explore Time. What's going on? How are you? Mose Chun. What's up, brother? Travis H. I believe he retracted his message, or maybe somebody retracted it for him. Arash is in the house. What's going on? Go Habs is in the house. Happy Valentine's Day, buddy. Claire the Third. Wife says I can't watch. Damn. Enjoy, Rob. As some of you guys may know, my wife and I have a kickboxing / fitness business, and tonight is her night to teach. So we thought we would be good business owners and conduct the class anyway. So our Valentine's Day is going to be pushed to tomorrow. But I hope you guys are all enjoying yours. Mark, what's going on, buddy? Mark Broda from the Scotch 4 Dummies. How are you, brother? Saying can't stay for the show, but have to give my guy Rob some love. What's going on, brother? Harapuzo, what's going on? Nice to see you in the chat. I don't think I've seen you before in the chat, so welcome. All right. I'm going to start with the Tullibardine because it's younger. So that's the Temptation to the Dark Side. This one is a refill but ex sherry cask. It's only 8 years old. It's 60.4% ABV, 750 milliliters, of course. One of 637 bottles. And if I haven't said it already, the number on it is 28.33. Which, like I said, is a Tullibardine. So let's give it a nose. We just got Scott from My Bourbon Journey joining us. What's going on, brother? How are you? Moose76, how's it going, buddy? Man, honestly, the nose on this one lives up to the name Temptation to the Dark Side. You can just tell this is a sherry influenced whiskey. Beautiful, like dark fruit and nuts and all these different types of notes that are very reminiscent of sherry influenced whiskey. Mose, thank you very much, buddy. Saying happy Valentine's Day and Thirsty Thursday. Appreciate the virtual dram, my friend. Really appreciate it. Peter White says that he has the Tullibardine as well. I poured him the dram, so he's going to pour that for himself tonight and join with me. The Whiskey Friend's in the house. What's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Whiskey Friend just did a really cool review of 3 8-year-olds. So actually, that's kind of interesting that this one's an 8-year-old. He did the Talisker, the Kilkieran, and I believe the Lagavulin. They were all really good whiskeys. So cool video. You should go check that out. Gregor's in the house. What's going on? Chad Adams. Looks like we have quite a few. I haven't been able to check how many. Oh, well, I'll check after. Where are we at? We got about 30. That's not bad for a Valentine's Day evening. Man, this is really, really sweet on the nose. I was reading, I'm going to show you guys really quick. I was reading on the SMWS site that this may be, share, cover that up so it doesn't confuse you guys. Can you guys see that? I hope you can see that. It says the reduced nose brought Pedro Jimenez. I don't know if that means that Pedro Jimenez is the cask, the ex-sherry cask used, but that's one of the notes, which I find kind of weird to use. It's almost like using the name of a fruit in the description of a fruit. I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense to me if that is indeed like Oloroso or something like that, but there we go. Anyway, I got to get the hang of that screen sharing, but hopefully that worked out okay. The Mash and Drums in the house. What's going on, Jason? How are you, brother? Eric Waits in the house. What's up, guys? All right, so really, really good on the nose. If I had to mark this just on the nose alone, this is an A+ on the nose for me. Honestly, beautiful stuff. Like I said, it's only 8 years old, and we're only talking about one cask, but just awesome nose. The One Glass Man's in the house. What's going on? Graham Young is saying that he loved the video today. Eric Waite, Lefroy 10 cast strength was a pickup for me at the distillery. Very cool. So I haven't had an opportunity to see that Lefroy 10 video, but I will definitely go check it out as soon as I can, Eric. And if you guys haven't already, you guys should check that out as well. Wow. Yeah, so like the rare situation where the palate's actually a little bit better than the nose, when the nose is already really, really good. I love this whiskey. Honestly, I wish I could find a couple more of these, but as far as I know, they're pretty much sold out, and I have very, very little left. You guys have heard the story about this if you've been following my videos for a while, but basically, I tried a sample of this thanks to Daniel from Whiskey Throttle, and I liked it so much that I asked him to go out and grab me a bottle, and I would pay for it. So he did it, and that's that bottle. After I opened that bottle, tried a few more samples from SMWS, that's when I became a member. But on the palate, I'm gonna have to give this one an A+ too. It's 60%, but you're still able to enjoy all the beautiful sweetness, the dark chocolate and caramel flavors, the jam-like raspberry and strawberry flavors, and then there's like a hazelnut or some sort of nut flavor in there as well, almost like a Nutella. Just beautiful. Obviously, it wouldn't hurt to add a couple drops of water in here, but you really might lose out on that finish a little bit because that finish is just beautiful and it lingers. And it's not overwhelmingly hot either. So yeah, honestly, Peter White saying, yes, this is excellent. Drinks older than 8 years old. No water needed. I think this would be perfect for a guy that's transitioning from bourbons, like high proof bourbons, to scotch, single malt scotch, because this has the sweetness almost of a high proof bourbon, which is, I think, really cool. Man, that's really good. That's an A+ for me. If I had to give that a numeric mark due to peer pressure, I'd probably give that like a 90, 91. I think it's really, really good. For me, age doesn't mean much, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later on, but I'm going to also turn it to you guys and see what you guys think about that. But I'm going to move on to the abundance of fruitcake while my palate is still functional. So the abundance of fruitcake is 30.100 Like I said, that's a Glenrothes. It's 56.5 ABV. It's 20 years old, and it was aged in a second fill Pedro Jimenez X Butt. So actually, this one's probably Pedro Jimenez as well, because it doesn't actually say on the cask. It says second fill butt X Sherry, just like this one says refill butt X Sherry. But in the description, it says joined Pedro Jimenez Sherry and fruitcake. So I'm assuming they're both Pedro Jimenez. I could be wrong. So this one's been changing for me for the better every time I go back to it. And it is super fruity. In the beginning, when Jeremy and I first opened this, because we split this bottle, this was one of our first purchases when we joined SMWS. We joined together. I was getting a note that I get with some heavily sherried whiskeys, particularly older Pedro Jimenez sherried whiskeys. It's almost like a sour note, like a sour sherry. And that sour sherry can translate and go a little bit south. For me, it's happened before with the Deanston 20-year-old. So those of you that have watched that review know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's gone, thank God. The sourness is still a little bit there, but it's not an off-putting sourness. It's more a sourness that leads into like a fruity note. It's still very oaked. It's a heavily oaked whiskey. Some people love that. I know Jeremy's a big fan of heavily oaked whiskeys. On the palate, good, but that sour sherry note, almost, it's sweet, it's really nice, but then there's like a sour, almost off-putting note. Not quite off-putting, but for me, it's not great. I'm going to give this one a mid-range A to an A minus. Like it's 84 for me. Really good, but going back to it time and time, nothing really draws me to it. I've tried. Jeremy loves it, and for that reason, I really went at it and tried to find some redeemable qualities for me. But it's good. It's just not what I've come to expect from SMWS, in my opinion. It could be a one-off. It could be just this bottle in particular, but it's good. I'm not gonna like bash it. It's actually a good whiskey, and I know a lot of people out there will probably really like it. But if this was a competition, which I probably will change the name to SMWS Rundown later on, the Temptation to the Dark Side wins for me hands down. All right, so that's like a 90 to 91, and this is like an 84 to an 85. All right. And there's 12 years difference between the two, the older one losing in this case. DH Sills. Jeremy's not here. Actually, I was very conscious to not invite a male to my Valentine's Day whiskey stream, just because I thought that might, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just not my thing. Does the dark side ever not win? That's true. And it seems like it's going to really win if you're a Star Wars fan. Seems like some people are drifting to the dark side in the new ones. Jason Coates is in the house. What's going on, buddy? What are you guys drinking tonight? Move 76 is saying they'd start wondering. It's all good. I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. Just ain't my thing. That's all. Not judging. Going back to this temptation to the dark side. Chad Adams is saying Rob is so politically correct. Yeah, I try to be, man. I'm a teacher. I'm a shaper of young minds, so I have to be politically correct. I have to be open-minded. I mean, it's in the job description. Peter White saying Daniel would have tortured you to death if Jeremy showed up That's just because Daniel's like secretly jealous of Jeremy a little bit. DH Sills is saying nothing wrong with a man-to-man relationship. That is true. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Explorer Time says, I prefer Last of the Summer Grime over the Dark Side. Interesting. I've never tried that one, so I'll have to give that one a look. I'm definitely going to get the new Bushmill. I put a bottle aside. Not the new. It was actually a few runs ago. It's the only Irish whiskey I've tried from SMWS. It's a 15-year-old Bushmill, and thanks to Peter White, I got to try it before I bought it, and man, it's phenomenal. It's really expensive. It's one of the more expensive SMWSs that I've been looking at, but it's really good. Steve A is in the house. What's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Gold Habs is drinking Macallan 12 Sherry, Richie Z's Bellmead Sherry Finished Bourbon. Very nice. Moose 76 is bottom shelf. JBS be sipping. Richie Z's saying bromance. How about everybody else? What are you guys drinking? Brian Elder's drinking Deanston Bordeaux Finish. I love that stuff, man. It's so syrupy. It's crazy good. Another example of how age doesn't mean shit, guys. Like, honestly, I'm starting to find that, like, the law of diminishing returns. You buy a whiskey between $50 to $150, and they could be anywhere between, no age statement to 12 years old, 15 years old, maybe if you're lucky. Some 20-year-olds, depending on the brand and whatnot. Spending more than $200, you're bound to like lose out on quality for money. Maybe it's going to be a little bit better than that bottle that you bought for $200 or $150, $125, $80. Maybe it's going to be better than those whiskeys, but dollar for the amount of quality more that you're getting doesn't add up and doesn't make sense. So honestly, I know I've done a lot of expensive whiskeys on this channel, but this year I'm really going to be seeking out gems, seeking out inexpensive gems, whiskeys that I can find at a decent price that are really, really good. That's why I'm looking at a lot of these independent bottles. So DH still says age matters. Listen, it does matter, but like I just said, the law of diminishing returns. That Talisker 30-year-old compared to the Talisker 8-year-old, the Talisker 25-year-old compared to the Talisker 18-year-old that I recently did. I'm going to be reviewing the Talisker 18-year-old. It's actually over here very soon. But the 25-year-old is $400 at the LCBO, and it's pretty expensive elsewhere. Whereas the 18-year-old is between $100 and maybe $150 pretty much everywhere. And for $250 less, you can get a whiskey that's just as good, if not, maybe slightly lower in quality. But really, who cares when you're saving $250? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I'm talking about ages that most of you will never buy. But here's a great example. Two whiskeys aged in Pedro Jimenez. One is at least $100 more than the other. One is 12 years older than the other. This 8-year-old, in my opinion, if you give these two whiskeys to anybody blind, anybody, they're gonna pick this 8-year-old over that 20-year-old any day. And I know that's only one example, and I know there's a lot of examples of the opposite. But let's have a look at some of the really good whiskeys that people have been raving about in the last little while. The Talisker 8-year-old, all the Longrow Reds, the Springbank 12, all the Octomores, all these types of whiskeys are, are being raved about, and they're very young. They're very young, and I don't know. Not trying to argue, just saying. That's my opinion. Okay, so the Mash and Drum is saying, Rob, have you heard of or had Grainstone or Sheldag Scotch? Grainstone, I've heard, is really good. I think it's only available in the US and the UK. It's not available up here in any of the provinces. So I haven't had an opportunity to try it, but I wouldn't mind trying it. I've heard good things. So, oh yeah, Chad Adams and St. Kilholman. That's another great example. I have the wine cask and this Pedro Jimenez right here. Actually, I find that Pedro Jimenez in particular works way better with younger whiskeys than it does with older whiskeys. And the less time it spends in Pedro Jimenez, the better, in my opinion. Like no more than 2-3 years. Once it goes over that point, it can get a little bit too sour or something. Something happens to it. Yeah, so DH still is arguing with me, and he's saying there are exceptions. We agree, but then you say a Longrow Red is young. It's still over a decade of aging. When I'm talking old, I'm talking like over 20 years old. I'm talking whiskeys that we have to spend 350 to 1,200 bucks for. In that category, you're losing out more than you're gaining. When you spend a little bit less, you'll find something maybe a little bit less quality, but the quality does not equal the dollars. We're talking no argument. I'm not. No, you know what I mean. I love the debate. I love it. Like I've had this debate with a few people before, but I've had enough older whiskey to know that majority of the time it wasn't worth the extra dollars. Another great example. Well, with bourbon, that's almost like a rule of thumb. You know between 9 and 15-year-old is almost always going to be better than anything older than that. And then I think they're talking Old Paltney 17. That's another great example. I love the 17. I was just like, I was okay with the 21. I thought it was great, but I like the 17 better. BB Jasper, what's going on, brother? He's saying, "What's up, dude? I love old, I love young, I love variety." I agree. I do too, man. I got to try it all. I want to try the best whiskey ever eventually. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I mean, the best whiskey, I guess that's a matter of perspective. For me, will be whatever my favorite whiskey is, I guess. But so, good question. I was actually debating whether or not I should do, and he's saying, is the best one that you've tried the Mortlock 31-year-old? It might be. It might be. I haven't reviewed it yet. I have literally just enough to do like one more tasting of it to make sure that it's my favorite whiskey ever, and then the review. So I'm going to be doing a rundown of the Gordon MacPhail Mortlock 31-year-old, this 24-year-old Bal Blair that I still haven't reviewed yet, and the Aberfeldy. And honestly, I really love this Aberfeldy. I think it's fantastic. So DH Stills is saying that he loves bourbon over 15 more than he does Scotch. Interesting. I had the Pappy 20 and the Pappy 23. I thought the Pappy 20 was the best of the three, but the 23 was just okay for me. Some people hate it, to be honest with you. But my favorite bourbon out of all of those is the William LaRue Weller. So yeah, Explorer Time is saying the value versus age is relative to your financial status, though. As a student buying anything over 120 dollars usually is terrible value for me compared to HP 12. Honestly, that's very, 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 very true. What you're comfortable with also affects your preference, right? But um, Chad Adams is saying Springbank 16 local barley is his favorite of all time. Interesting. I never tried that one. Richard Blancas in the house. What's going on? Peter White saying GTS 2012 takes William LaRue Weller out to the woodshed. He loves that 2012 GTS. So Moshan is saying he's wondering if the 25-year-old is that much better than the 21-year-old Glengoyne. I think when you're talking such a difference in ABV, it makes a huge difference. I've been so like up and down with the Glengoyne 21-year-old. I always go back to the 18-year-old, so that's a sign that, I mean, obviously it costs a little bit less, but I think the 30 is better than all of them, but it's double the price of the 25-year-old, so that's a tough one. But if you want my full answer on that, you should check out the rundown that I did on Glengoyne. I did the whole series. Lance, what's going on, buddy? Go Habs is saying he has a hard time spending more than $100 Canadian. Honestly, if you want to always stay under $100 Canadian, if you're shopping from Alberta, look for the Glengoyne 18-year-old. That's always a great buy. And then there's also stuff like Highland Park 12, which for me, under, and I have a little drop of water here, under 80 bucks, under 70 bucks. I think it just went on sale at the LCBO at like some select stores for $50 Canadian, which in my opinion is a steal for a 43-year-old 12 or 43% 12-year-old Highland Park. So DH Shows is saying, honestly, I've not had Pappy that wasn't Stitzel Weller, other than pour recently at a bar, which was crappy for the price. But in general, I love older notes on good 15+ bourbons. Yeah, man. To each their own, I guess. Yeah, wow. So Catherine is saying she likes to stay under $100 US, but just found that there are some Balbler 90s left for 169. Yeah, that one's an easy buy for a 25-year-old. That's an example of a really well put together 25-year-old whiskey. Depending on which one you get, it could be 26 years old, it could be a little bit younger. But that's, I mean, you guys know how I feel about that one. Jason Coates is saying he grabbed the Kalila 25 recently for under $120, liking that value. Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy. I don't think too many people can find that. Yeah, most Chan just said, is it just me? But I started saying I'm not gonna spend more than 65 on whiskey, and now it's like 200. I think that's everybody. We kind of have a price range that seems like out of this world at some point when we start. Buying Glenlivet 18-year-old was like, wow, I broke the bank. I spent $100. Now, like that's the average whiskey I buy, if not like a little bit more expensive is average. So it definitely changes. Joseph's saying, couldn't agree more about the Bal Blair. Found it for 150 and couldn't pass it up. No, you can't. At that price, it's a great one. BB Jap is saying, what's your favorite 30 that you've had? Glengoyne, Mortlock, or HP? I'm gonna have to say the Mortlock at the moment. That Mortlock G&M was just crazy. That Glengoyne's pretty close though. That Glengoyne is very, very close. Yeah. The Mash and Drum saying, always happens when you say you aren't going to spend or buy, and then bang, you see a coveted bottle. Whiskey gods are cruel sometimes. It's true. Honestly, that happens to me pretty much all the time. I'm like, yeah, I don't need anything. I have everything I need. And then all of a sudden they release the new Long Grow Red. Or I have everything I need. And then a Talisker 8-year-old comes out in Alberta that everybody's going bonkers for, and I have to get it. Yeah, that happens a lot. DH Sales is saying, so about $400 for the Glengoyne 25 here. Do it. Again, man, like it's a 48% whiskey. It's very good. Is it much better? I think the better comparable than someone asked about the Glengoyne 21 earlier. I would say the better comparable is the Glendronach 21 because it's the same ABV. You're talking very close in age, few years off. Actually, if you get the newer one, you're even closer in age. So, yeah, I'd say that's expensive, man. Like $400. Here I am preaching to you guys to save your money, and when I spend all kinds of money, but I'm not trying to be hypocritical here. I'm just trying to say, when you think quality for dollars, it's a tough conversation. Mark Saliba saying, is that Mortlock a 1987 vintage? I'm gonna get it since it's coming up so often. It is a 1987 vintage. That's the bottle right there. There's the box anyway. And here's the bottle. I've got very, very little left. Just enough for a couple whiskey in the 6 style pours. But that's the bottle. Reviews coming very shortly, guys. Gregor is saying, okay, sorry guys, got to go to sleep now. Nice chat. Enjoy your Valentine's Day celebration, Rob. Cheers, buddy. Nice to have you in. So, Peter, what would you give letter grade wise to the, or even numeric, whatever you feel more comfortable giving to this Temptation to the Dark Side SMWS Tullibardine 8-year-old? Richie Z says, Rob, do you have any open bottles open over 2 years? Honestly, once a bottle's been sitting on my shelf or like in my like liquor cabinet downstairs for a little bit too long, I tend to give them away. I tend to either bring them to my father-in-law's house or someone that I know will enjoy that particular whiskey. I give a lot of my whiskey away, guys, just because A, I don't like having a lot of open bottles around, and B, I have had a bad experience where I had a Tobermory 10-year-old and it sat in the bottle for probably about 3-4 years. And when I went back to it to review it after 3 years or 4 years, I can't remember exactly how long it was open, but when I went back to review it, it was stale, it was flat, it was just done. It wasn't a fair review anymore. And then BB Jap is saying, heel kill time. How does it compare to the Grandier? I like this better than the Grandier. I marked the Grandier, I think, a little too high in my Glendronach rundown. I think it's great whiskey. I think it's like fantastic. I marked it a little too close to the Glengoyne 30. If I had to remark it, I'd probably say that's a 93, whereas the Glengoyne 30 is 94. So it's at least a full mark less than the Glengoyne 30, in my opinion. DHL is saying, so top 3 in your room, best value choices that you'll rebuy and can. Oh, man. 9 years old. Port Charlotte, Marsala cask, MC01, much better in my opinion than the Bordeaux MRC01. Like I said, 9 years old, just phenomenal stuff. I'll definitely rebuy that. I got an Octomore 7.3 up there. If I could find those, I would buy more of them. I'll definitely buy a bunch more of this as well. Talisker 18-year-old. It's pretty much everything you need in an everyday dram. Very, very good stuff. So I don't know about top three is hard, man. I just gave you three. I have a Tircano 16-year-old up there that's $100. It's phenomenal for the price. So top three is hard, but there's a bunch. And then obviously I don't have it in my house right now, but I go back to the Glengarry 18 all the time because it's great stuff. I'm going to compare it to the Bunnahabhain 2009 G&M cask strength 60.5%, and then pass out. Peter White. I need another try of that Bunnahabhain 2009 G&M, Peter. I really want to try that one again. I don't think I gave it a fair shake back in the day. Maybe I can trade you for the bottom half of that bottle or whatever you have left. The Mash and Drum is saying, I have to crack that MCO1 sample. You do, man. It's great stuff. Carlos Ramos is saying, Rob, what do you think about Octomore 7.1? I have a chance to buy one. Honestly, so far, my Octomore experience goes like this. I choose the 6.3, 7.4, 7.3, then probably the 9.3. The 0.1s drop substantially, but if I had to compare all the 0.1s, since I've had pretty much all of them, I would say that the 6.1 and 7.1 are the better of the two, or the better of the four that I've tried. Sorry. Yeah, BB Jap is saying he loves the Octomores. A lot of us do. They are fantastic. Eric Wade saying, I'll be doing an Octomore 8.1 and Keith of Malted Man Cave on my channel tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. I'll definitely tune into that one. Although it's probably going to be smack dab in the middle of my official Valentine's Day dinner because my wife and I are doing it tomorrow instead of today. Joseph is saying, other than G&M, what other independents do you recommend most? Are there any you do not recommend? These are both great. So the SMWS obviously is a great choice. I was fortunate enough to get a bottle of this box that's breaking back here. This box, the top just busted off, but we're still good. Grindlays. This is the Ben Nevis 1997, one of 228 bottles. Peter White gave me this, actually. There's not much left. I just dropped it. That's why there's bubbles in there. But it's matured in an oak hogshead for 18 years, or more than 18 years anyway. A review on this one's got to be coming up soon because I've had it for a while now. It's really good. I don't know why I haven't reviewed it yet. I'm going to keep it higher up so that I make sure to review it soon. Jason Coates is saying, I've been waiting for you to get into that bottle. Honestly, I'm the worst for that. Like, if you guys saw what I have under here, you'd freak out. There's some great stuff down here. Also have this Tamdu batch number 2, I think it is, of the cask strength series that they did. Yeah, batch 2. I still got to get to that. Still got to get to my Balbler 1983. There's a ton here that I really have been putting off for way too long. Actually, there's about 4 or 5 bottles here that Peter White gave me. Another one is the Oloroso Glenlivet Nadira, the Benramic 10-year-old, the 43% version. So he gave me, I think, all three of those. I have some rums here as well. I have 2 or 3 rums that I haven't reviewed that I'm probably going to get to soon. I really want to do a Irish whiskey month. Maybe not a month, but at least a couple of weeks. So look for that to come near St. Patrick's Day. Maybe the week of the 2 weeks, or the week before and the week of St. Patrick's Day, I'll do 4 Irish whiskey reviews. We'll see. Yeah, so that Temptation to the Dark Side is definitely a 90. The old me would probably have given this a higher mark. It's really good. Peter White saying the Ben 10 100 is really good. I haven't tried that one yet, I don't think. I thought I had a bottle of that actually, but that wasn't the one I had. I've had this for quite some time too. It's a Glengarry. How old is that? 17 years old, I guess. Cask strength. No, it says 16 years old. For over 16 years old. First fill bourbon. I got to go back to it. When I first opened it, it was a little bit hot. Maybe I'll pour a touch now just to see. As you can tell, I opened it, poured a dram, and then that was it. I haven't gone back to it since. So tonight will be a good night to go back to that. Blind shootout of the spots. That would be pretty cool, actually. I have the green spot aged in Zinfandel casks here, but there's not enough of them available in Ontario. There's another green spot, a different kind of wine cask, and there's the yellow spot 12-year-old, which I got to find because I actually want a bottle of that. Try to get the smell out of this glass. Got to get out of here. Going late here, my friend. All right. Take care, Whiskey Friend. Guys, check out the Whiskey Friend. His channel is awesome. He's reviewing some great stuff. He's coming from Scotland, so it's pretty late there. Poor guy stayed up late for this one. Have a good night, buddy. Happy Valentine's Day. Richie Z is saying, have you gone back to the Glengarry 15 Renaissance? I haven't gone back to it because I can't remember what I did with that bottle. I don't think I finished that bottle, or maybe I did actually. That was a while ago that I reviewed it, so it might be finished by now. Rob G is saying Mitchell's and Sons released Red Spot. I know, I want to see that Red Spot around. I mean, I want to pick that Red Spot up. I think it's 15 years old if I'm not mistaken, but they don't have it at the LCBO, so if I can get it, I will. Peter White says that he has a heel of the yellow spot. Yeah, I mean, I borrowed enough bottles from you, Peter. I feel bad to borrow. If I come across it, I hope I can come across it soon, and I'll purchase it because it's pretty relatively cheap compared to other Irish whiskey around here. It's about $100. My problem is I buy too much cask strength whiskey, so there's not a lot of whiskey that I can just relax and enjoy, like, without having to add any water or, you know. The Talisker 18, I think right now is my best bottle that's at like regular strength scotch anyway. Gonna give this Glengarry another try. That's pretty nice color on it considering it's ex-bourbon only. First fill bourbon, so it's getting a little more color out of those barrels because of the bourbon. We'll see what that one's like in a couple minutes. I'll give this one another shot. I mean, the nose is super fruity, but there's almost like a vinaigrette, like finish to the nose, if that makes any sense. Like once you dig through like the sweetness of the fruity nose, you get like a vinaigrette type nose. Like an apple cider vinegar. The viscosity's there. What like there's like a fresh sweet note once it hits your like palate, but there's a sour note that I don't love about it, and I wish that wasn't there because everything else about it is great. I don't know. Peter White saying the Tullibardine is better than the Bunna. Hard to believe, but that's my thought. I believe it. I mean that I haven't had like I had the Tullibardine 21-year-old, and I thought that was pretty good actually. It's a little overpriced. Actually, it's a lot overpriced in Ontario. It's like $300, but it's good. It's a good whiskey. It's not. I mean, if you're not thinking about price, it's a good whiskey. But this Tullibardine blew me away, and it kind of makes me want to try other Tullibardines. Although nobody raves about Tullibardine, there's a ton available. There's casks that are kind of neat and like different things happening with them, but I never really give them a chance because I never hear anything good about them. So maybe I need to. Yeah, there's this like this sour oaky note on the nose and a little bit on the palate that just doesn't do it for me. And for that reason, like I gave it an 84. It's good, and I know a lot of people. It's the same idea with the Bunnahabhain PX for me. It has that sour, pretty much that exact note, and some people I think love it. I think some people don't even like. Um, Maybe it's all about perspective. Maybe it's there's something that I came across that I didn't agree with at one point in my life that kind of smelt like that or tasted like that. And I think for other people, if they didn't have that experience, then they're not picking that up in the like on this dram. So I think that could be what it is, to be honest with you. Yeah, the Bunnahabhain Gordon MacPhail 2009 was also only $71. Yeah, I think that's half the price of what this Tullibardine was. So that's a big difference. Whiskey Thrall saying perspective. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not something that I would push away if someone poured it for me. Just not as good as the Tullibardine. The Abundance of Fruitcake. For me, I would not buy it again, and I'm actually going to give it to Jeremy. We were supposed to split this bottle, but I'm going to give it to him at this point because for me, it's just not the best. But he really liked it, so there you go. Like, wait for his review because it's probably going to be very, very different than what I'm saying. 47 in the chat now. I haven't been paying attention to how many are in here at all, to be honest with you. I usually don't. I find I have a better time when I'm not paying attention to how many people are in the chat and just enjoying who's in the chat. Lots of Alberta whiskey on deck. He is correct. Although this Glengarry here, I bought at the LCBO, and believe it or not, I think Peter White will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was only like $120 for a cask strength Glengarry, almost 17 years old. I thought that was a good price, so I ran and picked it up, and it didn't last long, so I guess I was right. I don't even want to really finish the Abundance Fruitcake. I want to move on to this. Oh yeah, that's definitely changed. DH Stills is laughing at me saying only $120. So it's interesting actually. There's a note on the nose here that I get out of Canadian whiskey. It's like almost like a rye note. Could be the casks. I wonder what first fill bourbon cask they used for this Glengarry. Oh yeah, that's drastically improved. I haven't touched this in more than months. I think I bought this almost a year ago. Maybe a little less. I think it was the spring, so maybe 6 months ago, almost a year. Not far off from a year. That's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna go maybe another 10 minutes or so. Make it the full hour. The Leafs play at 10 o'clock tonight, so it's gonna be a late one for me. But DJ Beacon is saying, "Is Cersei Lannister in the house?" I'm not sure what he means by that though. Eric Waite saying, "Does anybody here like anything from Bowmore?" I love the Lamreg. I think the Devil's Casks were great. I actually like the Vault #1 as well. Anything higher ABV on Bowmore usually tends to be pretty good. Whiskey Explorer says that he likes Bowmore okay. Whiskey Throttle saying lame IG. I don't know what he means by that. Andrew is saying, Rob, do you watch the Raptors as well? I watch them occasionally. I'm not the biggest basketball fan. I like playoff basketball, but and believe it or not, I usually coach basketball every year, but I don't know. I've never been the biggest basketball fan. I also have to be pretty selective with what I'm able to watch because a bunch of nights of the week I'm teaching kickboxing. Sometimes I'm doing this, and then like with the full-time job with the kids, it's very hard for me to fit in Leaf games. So to fit in Raptor games would be tough too. Graham Young says, love the Vault one. Yeah, honestly, I really like the Vault one. I got to still review that. I haven't grabbed it yet. Honestly, I think the 18-year-old gets a bad rap. It's very cheap. Like it's cheap when it comes to 18-year-olds, in my opinion. In Ontario, most 18-year-olds are around the $180 mark, whereas the Bowmore 18 is like $120, so a lot cheaper. Go Habs says, I love watching the Raptors choke every spring. Go Habs is just like a Toronto hater as a whole. Like he hates the whole city of Toronto, I think. I don't know. I don't know what his issue with Toronto is. BB Jap is saying, I'm in shock that you don't that you do that much. Kickboxing, kids, whiskey, teach. I barely do whiskey. It's got its challenges, man. It definitely has its challenges, but I don't know. I guess when you don't do any of them very well, then you can do them all. Jam Dude's in the house. What's up, buddy? Louis, what's going on? That's really good. I like some of these cask strength first fill bourbon single malt whiskeys. They pull these like tropical fruits, and I'm not sure where they're getting them from because the bourbons don't taste like that, and the malts usually don't taste like that. You find it a lot with Irish whiskey, but this one has like a beautiful mango note. And I noticed that as well with the 1997 Balblair cask strength that I had, which was ex-bourbon only as well. Really nice. So I thought for sure today was going to be the day that Jeremy passed me in subs. He might be actually by this point, but he's very close and he keeps climbing and it's awesome. And I'm hoping that in the near future he'll be like in the tens to 20,000 range, even higher, because it brings more and more people into this hobby, which is awesome. A lot of people that are watching that particular video are not necessarily whiskey fans, but by watching that, some of them will be interested in watching other whiskey videos, and then hopefully like start checking out the rest of the community, and then the community grows, and that's what we need. We need the whiskey community to grow. So Jeremy's doing an awesome thing for everybody, pretty much. Go Habs is saying, I actually love visiting Toronto. It's the delusional folk who live there who believe they are the center of the universe that is the problem. That's painting a lot of people with the same brush, Habs. That's painting a lot of people with the same brush. Santa Cruzan is saying, Rob, do a Johnny Walker special. Honestly, I don't know if I could successfully do a Johnny Walker special. I'm not the biggest Johnny Walker fan. There's only a few Johnny Walkers that I really like. I've been dying to try the Johnny Walker Blue Cast Strength, but I can't find it for the life of me. The Johnny Walker White Walker, I did not find that palatable. There are some gems though. There are some good ones. I really like. I have the 15-year-old here that I'm going to be reviewing soon. I really like that one. Killer Jolt is saying, forgot to hit that thumbs up. Guys, if you're in the chat and you liked what you saw today, hit the thumbs up like Killer Jolt. Yeah, Richard Blanca says it best right there. Quality viewers, not quantity. And that's what it's about, right? Like, most of the stuff I buy is not going to appeal to the average person that goes to a liquor store to buy a whiskey or a vodka, and they're not really sure what they're buying that day. It's going to appeal to people that are whiskey fans. So you're right, Richard, 100%. Quality over quantity for sure. For those of you that are in the chat, now that I have you here, there's about 50 of you. Make sure that you guys check out the Game of Thrones video that I did of all the Game of Thrones whiskeys, because I'm doing a giveaway. I want you all to have an opportunity to get one of each of the whiskeys. So I'm giving away a sample of each of the whiskeys from the Game of Thrones set. This way you guys know which ones to go out and buy if you really like them. So get into it. All you have to do is be a subscriber, which I'm sure all 50 of you are, and then leave a comment. Leave a comment in the comment section, and that's it. Then you're in the giveaway. And then what I'll do is I have a randomizer, a random number selector basically on my phone, and I'll click it, and whichever number it lands on, I'll literally count down the list of comments, and whoever it lands on, that's the person that wins the entire set. So Vegas Art just joined us, I think. What's going on, buddy? Everyone just joined us as well. How are you, buddy? Nice to see you all. Nice to have you guys all in on Valentine's Day. Did anybody do anything special for Valentine's Day as we part? We have about 2 minutes left. Anybody do anything special? Or anyone have plans to do something special either tonight or tomorrow night? So Whiskey Dong is saying, are you going to review anything from some small or smaller independent bottlers this year? I am. I'm going to try to find as many as I can. There's a bunch available for decent prices, actually. So I'll be keeping an eye out, and definitely going to review as many as I can. And maybe, hopefully, by the end of the year, you guys will get to hear about, and then maybe even have an opportunity to purchase an independent bottle that myself and Jeremy release. Whiskey Throttle said you should only do marketed whiskey because getting subs and following the algorithms is all that is important. Daniel is a very bitter old man. I'm not sure what the hell he's talking about, but that is probably the opposite of who I am. So for him to say that is actually a little bit insulting. Not true at all. The algorithms are not what's important. I review a ton of whiskey that people actually would never review because they know that they're not going to get any views, and I spend a ton of money on them. So actually, for the guy that sits there with a ton of whiskey behind him that's never opened, should be the last one to talk about any of that kind of stuff. Thank you, Seb. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, honestly, I just don't understand why some people. I don't think he was kidding. I think don't take it personally. I'm not taking it personally. I know you're not kidding. I know that you tend to do that. You tend to poke at people that whatever. He's not getting to me. It's all good. It's all good. Good stuff, guys. If you haven't already, go pick it up. I've had a bunch of really, really good Glengarry stuff. This one's really good. It needs some time, though. It definitely needs some time. Eric Wade dropped the super chat saying Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Guys, I'm not offended. I know Daniel a little bit better than most people. So I know I know what he was trying to do. He's been taking shots at me for the last 2 weeks. So you guys caught a little bit of two friends having a disagreement. And then thanks, Daniel, for the 99 cents. I appreciate it, buddy. Graham Young, thank you very much. Yeah. Case in point, how many guys are reviewing SMWS? It's true. Like a lot of the stuff I review, nobody cares about, but I do it because I know that the whiskey people that are like whiskey geeks, so to speak, they love it and I love it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. DH Sills, you are the man. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. He says you need a few bucks for your effort. I feel bad. I think you guys think I was more offended than I actually was, but never lost the love for Rob. I love you, Daniel. You know I love you. You just piss me off sometimes. Go Habs saying this should cheer you up. Habs are down 1-0 to Nashville. Honestly, I don't hate the Habs. Like everybody assumes because I'm a Leaf fan, and because I have two of my brothers and one of my best friends, are Leaf fan, Habs fans. Sorry, and whatever. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the Habs for sure. I just want the Leafs to win. I never understood those fans that like it doesn't matter what's happening to their team as long as the team that they hate is losing. Peter White saying that's the cash tank talking. Honestly, I'm not even a little bit buzzed. I was just making a point. Cage match, Rob and Daniel. I think Daniel's wanted to fight me for a long time, actually. Ever since he found out that I do kickboxing, he's been challenging me to fights. All right, guys. I think that we should call it there. What do you guys think? Call it. It's 9:35. Give you guys some time to do your quig and then head over to the Scotch for Dummies. Go Habs doesn't hate the Leafs. He just hates Kadri. Fair enough. All right, guys. I'm going to call it. Hope you all have a happy Valentine's Day. That was a lot of fun, even the last little bit with Daniel. Hope you guys had a good one. So, yeah, if you have an opportunity to pick that up and you are an SMWS member, I highly, highly recommend Temptation to the Dark Side, which coincidentally I got from Daniel Whiskey Throw. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.